Hello again and welcome to class 441. All right, first thing, my apologies. Tengo que pedir perdón. I have to apologize to you. I made a mistake 2 weeks ago at the beginning of the new classes, at the beginning of October, on October 4th, October 5th. I talked about this book, but I was speaking about the old edition, la edición anterior que tenía CDs de audio, here and here in the back. This book is based only on downloading the audio. Please download the audio. I'm sorry for my mistake. Aquí me van a colgar del palo mayor. Kiki está de Richard. My mistake. I'm sorry. But this book is an excellent book. It's one of the best. But you have to work. You need to devote time to this. So, sorry about my mistake. All right, let's get going, shall we? Let's get going. Let's review the vocabulary and finish the vocabulary from yesterday. Are you ready? Por lo visto, al parecer, apparently, jefe, boss, my boss, your boss. Pase, come in, competente, competent, incompetente, incompetent. Duda, doubt. Tengo mis dudas, I have my doubts. Ahora, tengo una duda is I have a question. I have a question. Explicación, explanation, explanation. Agujero, hole. También 9 hoyos, 9 holes. Agujero, hole. Perezoso, vago, dejado, lazy. Don't be so lazy. Pintura, painting, a painting. A painting by Velázquez, a painting by Rembrandt, a painting by Picasso, etc. Reciente, recent. Los acontecimientos recientes, the recent events. Respeto, respect, te respeto. Como verbo y como sustantivo. I respect you, te muestro respeto. I show respect. Respect. Serio, serious, serious. Una etapa, a stage. Una fase, a phase. A stage in my life, a stage. El peor, the worst. Dar por sentados, to assume. To assume. Suponer también, to assume. Asumir, to assume. Pero no des por sentado nada, ¿eh? Verifica. Don't assume anything. Check. Verify. Check. Verify. Don't assume. Don't assume. Assume, dos pronunciaciones. Assume or assume. I don't know which I say. Don't assume, don't assume. Creo que digo assume. Don't assume. Ser pesimista. To be pessimistic. O sea, ser pesimístico. ¿Eres una persona pesimística? That's in English. Are you a pessimistic person? Un pesimista es una persona pesimista. Sustantivo, adjetivo. A pessimist is a pessimistic person. An optimist is an optimistic person. A fatalist is a fatalistic person. A realist, soy realista. A realist is a realistic person. Ser realista, eh? Be realistic. No seas pesimista. Don't be pessimistic. Sé optimista. Be optimistic. No seas tan fatalista. Don't be so fatalistic. All right. Eres un fatalista. Eres un fatalista. You're a fatalist, a realist, a pessimist, etc. All right. Traer is to bring. Bring me. Bring. Cruzar is to cross. To cross the river, to cross the bridge. Fracasar is to fail. To fail también es fallar en algo. Failed. El sistema ha fallado. The system failed. Este sistema está a prueba de fallos. This system is fail-safe. Fail-safe. Fail, pero fracaso es fail. Fracasar. Eres un fracasado. You're a failure. Es un poco fuerte. You're a failure. To fail. Era el fracaso del plan. The failure. The plan failed. The plan failed. Invitar is to invite. To invite. To invite. Que suene la V, por favor. Invite. Ofender is to offend. No me Me estás ofendiendo. You're offending me. No te quiero ofender, pero I don't want to offend you. Offend. Offend. To offend. To say something offensive to another person is to offend the other person. Presionar is to pressure. Escrito presure. To pressure. No me presiones, eh? Don't pressure me. Estoy bajo presión. I'm under pressure. Under pressure. Referirse a is to refer to. Me estoy refiriendo al espejo que está ahí. I'm referring to the mirror over there. I'm not referring to the table over there. I'm referring to that mirror, to refer. Okay, to refer to. Vender is to sell. Te vendo un caballo. I'll sell you a horse. All right. Sorprender, to surprise. Sorpréndeme. Surprise me. Surprise me. Surprise me. Surprise me. I like surprises. I love surprises. Surprise me, okay? Come on. Surprise me with incredible progress with your English. I love surprises. I love good surprises. I don't like bad surprises. Yeah, you don't like bad surprises either. I like good surprises. So surprise me. Okay. Marta, Natasha. Natasha Zarakovich, my favorite Russian. Yes. Natasha Zarakovich. Let's see. She is, I can't see this. You can see it, but I can't see it. It's magic. All right. And here we have Natasha in the streets of, I think in the streets of Edinburgh. I think she's in Edinburgh with her cousin Andre. And if you look at the picture, Andre's very cold. But Natasha, no. Because Natasha is used to the Russian winters. Now, the winter is fairly cold. It gets fairly cold in Scotland in the winter. Much colder than here in Spain. But it gets even colder in Moscow. So Natasha has no problem with the cold weather in Scotland. But they're visiting, I think here they're visiting Edinburgh. We'll find out. Lo iremos sabiendo. We'll find out. Natasha Zarakovich thought she knew English well. However, her first 2 days in Scotland have made her think otherwise. Yeah. Natasha Zarakovich thought she knew English well. However, her first 2 days in Scotland have made her think otherwise. Han hecho que piense de otra manera, que ya no está convencida de su buen inglés. Yeah. Natasha Zarakovich thought she knew. Puedes insertar that. Natasha Zarakovich thought that she knew English well. However, her first 2 days in Scotland have made her think otherwise. She arrived on Friday the 22nd. When did she arrive? She arrived on. Fíjate la D de arrived, como se enlace con la O de on. Llegó el día 22. She arrived on the 22nd. She arrived on the 22nd. And spent Saturday and Sunday with her cousin Andre and his family. If you remember, well, a bit of background information for your memory. Natasha Zarakovich is Russian. She lives in Moscow with her mother and her brother. Her father died many years ago. And so her mother is a widow. Now, she works in the Russian state laboratory that approves food and drugs, pharmaceutical products. So I think she's a chemist. She's a chemist. Es química. She's a chemist. Now, many, many years ago, she lived next to, her father and her father's brother. Her father and her uncle lived next to each other in Moscow. And Andrei Zarakovich was a little boy, 5 years old, and Natasha was a little girl, 6 years old. And they played together because they were neighbors and cousins. But Andrei hit Natasha a lot. He was a bad boy. But then Natasha's uncle, Andrei's father, received an offer to work in Scotland in a joint project between the Soviet Union at that time and British Aerospace. And the father went to Glasgow and began to work in this joint project. And he took the family to Glasgow with him. And then he found another job and he stayed in the United Kingdom. And the family became citizens of the United Kingdom. And so Andrei Zarakovich has been living in Scotland, in Glasgow, since the age of 6. And Natasha has not seen him since she was 7 years old. So it's been a long time, more than 20 years, maybe 21 or 22 years that they haven't seen each other. And Andrei was writing, you remember, Andrei was writing letters to Natasha, inviting her to Scotland. But Natasha always said no. She always said she couldn't because it was too expensive. But Andrei found a new job. And in his new job, he's earning almost double. And with the extra money in the first 3 months, he bought a ticket for Natasha to come. And so Natasha, wow. So Natasha now, today, is in Scotland with her cousin, Andrei Zarakovich. All right. Natasha Zarakovich thought she knew English well. However, her first 2 days in Scotland have made her think otherwise. De otra forma. She arrived on Friday the 22nd and spent Saturday and Sunday with Andrei and his family. In the evenings, she went out. Salía con Andrei a la ciudad. In the evenings, she went out with Andrei and a group of friends. She didn't have any trouble understanding the family because they spoke Russian or English with a slight Russian accent. But the evenings were different. Poor girl. The evenings were different. She had big trouble understanding Andrei's friends. She had big trouble. Le costaba un ojo de cara. Le costaba muchísimo trabajo. She had trouble. Pero añadido big, gran problema. She had big trouble understanding. La expresión to have trouble, más gerundio, es costarle trabajo uno más infinitivo en español. Me costó trabajo entenderla a estos chicos en la discoteca. I had trouble understanding the young Scottish boys in the disco. And she had big trouble understanding Andrei's friends. Of course, they're Scottish. She had to make a strong effort. She had to make a strong effort every time they said something to her. Then, hey, what you got there? Sorry? Natasha, do you not have a room thing? Can you repeat, please? Of course, they went out. And so there was a lot of background noise, background music, people talking. It was not the best atmosphere for listening comprehension. It wasn't the best atmosphere, ambiente, atmósfera. It wasn't the best atmosphere for listening comprehension. And it's not easy to understand Scottish people sometimes. All right. She had to make a strong effort every time they said something to her. What made things worse? What made things worse was that they were in a noisy restaurant and then in a discotheque. So they went to a restaurant. Andrei, Natasha, and Andrei's friends. First they went to a restaurant. Then they went to a discotheque. And of course there was a lot of noise, which made it even more difficult. It made it, lo hizo incluso más difícil. Ello hízolo, it made it even more difficult. It made it even more difficult for Natasha to understand. She had to make a strong effort every time they said something to her. What made things worse, lo que empeoró las cosas, lo que hizo las cosas peor, what made things worse was that they were in a noisy restaurant and then in a discotheque. Natasha felt embarrassed. Yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. Sé cómo es. I know what it's like when you have to ask people to continually repeat. Or you just say yes, but you don't understand them. You have that experience? Yeah. Que sí, que yeah, yeah, and you're not understanding what they're saying. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, yes. So it's very embarrassing. Es violento a veces. Natasha felt embarrassed. Se sentía embarazosa. She felt embarrassed, apurada. She felt embarrassed because she kept having to ask the friends to repeat. To keep. Yes. She kept, seguía R que R atrás para que repitieran una vez más. She kept having to ask the friends to repeat. So she felt embarrassed. Esta frase es difícil, ¿eh? This is an interesting sentence. Natasha felt embarrassed because she kept having to ask the friends to repeat. What's interesting here is to keep. Tenía que seguir R que R pidiéndoles por favor que repitieran. To keep. Yes. She kept having to ask the friends to repeat. Later, Andre told her not to worry. Don't worry about it. Later, Andre told her not to worry. To worry or not to worry? That is the question. To be or not to be. El negativo del infinitivo. Infinitivo, preocuparse es to worry. No preocuparse es not to worry. Le dijo no preocuparse. Le dijo que no se preocupase. He told her not to worry. Andre told her not to worry. He knew that by the time she left for Moscow in early January, she would understand everyone quite well. Maybe. Andre is very optimistic. He knew. He told Natasha not to worry. He said, Natasha, don't worry. By the time you go back to Moscow in early January, you'll understand everybody quite well. By the time you go back, para cuando vuelvas a Moscú ya entenderás a todos bastante bien. By the time you go back, by the time you go back to Moscow, Natasha, you'll understand everybody fine. Probably not, but she'll understand better, of course. So, eso es voz directa, ahora voz indirecta, o sea, la forma indirecta. Él sabía que para cuando volviese a Moscú, ya entendería mejor. He knew that by the time she left for Moscow in early January, a principios de enero, in early January, she would understand everyone quite well. I have my doubts. On Saturday afternoon, after lunch, Andre took Natasha to Edimburgo, Edimburgo se dice aquí. Los edimburgueses dicen Edinburgh. Edinburgh. No. Most people say Edinburgh. So on Saturday afternoon, after lunch, Andre took Natasha to Edinburgh, Scotland's capital. All right. She had never seen such a beautiful city. It's true, Edinburgh is very, very pretty, eh? Have you ever been to Edinburgh? No? Edinburgh, you've never been. Chapeau, it's very nice, very, very pretty. Scotland, she had never seen such a beautiful city. She spent more than half an hour standing on Prince's Street, looking across at the castle of Mary, Queen of Scots. María, Reina de los Escoceses. Mary, Queen of Scots. Yeah, she spent more than half an hour standing on Prince's Street. Yo creo que es la foto esta. Yeah, I think. Yeah, if I can find it. Ahí está. No, this is not Prince's. I don't think this is Prince's Street. Or yes, but she's looking in the wrong direction. Yeah, she needs to look the other way, not there. No, she's looking like this in the picture. She needs to look that way. And that's the castle. It's very pretty, eh? It's very, very impressive, really. Edinburgh. It's very impressive. Because on Princess Street, Calle de los Príncipes, eh? No es Calle Princesa. That's Princess Street. No. Princes. Príncipes in plural. One prince, two princes. Yeah. Princess Street. And from there, there's a gorge, una garganta geológica, pero verde, verde, de césped. And the other side of Edinburgh is the old city. Wow, it's very impressive. La parte antigua de la ciudad. And there's an incredible castle. Me recuerda como ver el castillo de Segovia, el alcázar de Segovia desde abajo. Lo has visto, ¿no? Desde la Fuencisla, creo que se llama. Boom. It's similar. Wow, it's beautiful. Edinburgh. So, later on, espera, ¿dónde estoy? Okay, after lunch, Andre took Natasha to Edinburgh, Scotland's capital. She had never seen such a beautiful city. She spent, pasó, more than half an hour standing in Prince's Street, looking across. La vista atravesaba la garganta geológica esa hasta el castillo. Looking across at the castle of Mary, Queen of Scots. Bueno, no era su castillo, but she lived there. María Reina de los Escoceses. Yeah. It was a cold and windy day. Yeah, cold and windy. It was a cold and windy day, and Andre wanted to go inside a pub to get warm. Andre wanted to go inside a pub. He said, no, vamos dentro a un pub aquí, vamos a entrar. But Natasha, however, Natasha was used to the Russian winters, and the weather seemed almost warm to her. Yeah, Natasha was used to. Natasha estaba acostumbrada a los inviernos moscovitas. However, Natasha was used to, estaba acostumbrada a, Natasha was used to the Russian, ¿qué dice aquí? The Russian winters, and the weather seemed almost warm to her. All right. She had never been more than 50 kilometers outside of Moscow. Pobrecita. Nunca había estado ni a 50 kilómetros de Moscú en su vida. She had never been more than 50 kilometers outside of Moscow in her life. Here, there were cars everywhere, coming and going. Everyone seemed to be in a hurry. Andre told her that compared to London, Edinburgh and Glasgow were quiet cities. He also told her that they would be going to London in a few days to see the sights and to go to a musical, either Cats or The Phantom of the Opera. Either Cats or The Phantom of the Opera. So, she was used to the winter in Moscow, the Russian winter. Russian winters are very hard, very cold, very windy, very harsh. The winters in Scotland are cold, but for Natasha, it was almost warm. Andre was, let's go inside. Let's go inside a pub. But Natasha was enjoying the sights, enjoying the view across the gorge to the castle of Mary, Queen of Scots. But she noticed there were cars everywhere. In Moscow, there were fewer cars. Yeah. Everybody seemed to be in a hurry. Everyone seemed to be. Todo el mundo parecía tener prisa. Everyone seemed to be in a hurry. To be in a hurry, to be in a hurry. I'm in a hurry, you're in a hurry, Marta's in a hurry, and Natasha's not in a hurry. Andre's in a hurry to go inside, in a pub and to get warm. Yes, Natasha had never been more than 50 kilometers outside of Moscow in her life. Here there were cars everywhere, coming and going, yendo y viniendo, coming and going. Decimos siempre en inglés viniendo y yendo, al revés. In Spanish you say yendo y viniendo, going and coming. In English, never. Coming and going, coming and going. Yes, everyone seemed to be in a hurry. Andre told her that compared to London, Edinburgh and Glasgow were quiet cities. Yeah, he said, this is nothing. Wait until we go to London. You'll see cars coming and going. He also told her that they would be going to London in a few days. He said, por cierto, te voy a llevar a Londres. We're going to go to London in a few days to see the sights, ver lo que uno tiene que ver, los sitios turísticos, to see the sights and to go to a musical, una obra musical in the West End, either o bien Cats o bien El Fantasma de la Ópera, either Cats or The Phantom of the Opera. All right, so Natasha's finally in Scotland enjoying something different, and she's enjoying it very much. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.